Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Fish and Chip Day in the Riv. In the old days, it was Fish and Chip Day. Now you don't know what it is, but
You don't know what
it's
day it is
Friday.
anymore. It's
So
Lobster Bisque Day.
we, uh, so we again, the charter is in the news. CJ,
Again.
our illustrious mayor wants to ignore the charter, huh?
Of course.
Nobody can tell the little dictator what he can do.
Nope. You know, it's amazing. That charter's useless for him unless it works for him.
That's right.
If it works for him, like the 45-day rule to get the budget passed, remember that one?
Oh, we all remember that one.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
do.
And then you'll have Runaway Rumsey running down there saying, "You are bound to by the charter. That's the constitution of the city. You
That's
have
right.
to abide by the charter until it infringes on my boss's thing." And then it's like, I don't care. They can't tell me what to do. Neither can the charter. Neither
Right.
can anybody. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, Paul is showing his little dictatorial side here.
Always does.
Always showing the Mein Führer, Sig Heil. That's it. They can't tell me what to do. I'm not the mayor. I'm the supreme commander.
Well,
Grand
here's,
Poobah.
here's Runaway Rumsey's opinion. Department renewals do not need to come down. That's what he told the Herald News in an interview after the um, city council sent the resolution to the mayor. And by the way, the resolution wasn't filed by any current city councilor. None of them thought about this. It took a citizen to file the resolution with the city council, and then they sent it up. And now Cliff Ponte wants to add a few more provisions to it.
Well, shame on him for not thinking of it first, huh?
Shame on the entire city council for not thinking of it first. They always complain that it doesn't follow the charter.
Yeah. And they
You know,
never
the
hold him
problem with that
accountable.
charter was it was created by Michael Mioza with no repercussions for not following it. That's the problem. Imagine if they had said you don't follow the charter, $5,000 fine, paid out of your personal funds.
Well, there are repercussions. You have to get him censured by the state because the charter is a legal document
I agree.
voted upon by the supreme commanders of local, state, and federal government, the people.
Right.
As much as we said, and we didn't vote for it, I will be perfectly frank as you are. I didn't vote for that piece of
Neither
garbage,
did I.
but it is the charter, and you have to abide by it. And remember what Martin Luther King said so many years ago. That he said, if you disagree with the law, and you want to change it, change the law, and you may have to go to jail for disobeying that law to prove a point. But you have to suffer the consequences of disobeying a law. This guy just doesn't. Rumsey, he doesn't think. Well, you know something? I think it does. And you know how much weight his opinion has versus my opinion? The same amount, because he's not a judge.
Right.
He's not a judge. We keep when is the council going to grow a set and hold this guy accountable when he doesn't follow the charter, when he breaks a law? File a complaint.
Right.
File a
They
complaint against the mayor of the city.
They don't, because there's 7 of them are kissing his ass. Okay? One of them is on the fence, and the other one is holding his ass to the fire, and she's all alone.
Yep.
And remember something. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and they all stink.
But some do work better than others.
That's true.
Some anal sphincters are far better at doing their job than others, as you well know. So, yeah, but this is, I mean, look, again, how long is this dictator going to run amok, thumbing his nose at the people of Fall River and the city council? It's an absolute shame that we have a city council that allows this mayor to run roughshod over the law, do whatever he wants, and never holds him accountable. And that is in the law. We've read ad nauseum legal opinions that say there is a duty of accountability for public officials, except in Fall River, appears. They should have made an exception. This is the problem. We've got too many politicians and not enough people who are going to do their job to represent the people. Even now in the Supreme Court, did you see that latest one when Amy Coney Barrett basically criticized Ketanji Jackson there about her ruling was political rather than legal?
Yeah.
Because they don't care anymore. Even the judicial system has been corrupted by these politicians. They politicized everything. Even at one time, there were judges who held the law and the sanctity of the law above partisan politics. But now, I mean, some of that, those three members of the Supreme Court are kind of like our city council that would, they're kind of like Brad and Paul. And those two will nod their head at anything, and the rest of them will go along to get along. And yeah, it's this is when Fall River is destroyed, and it's on the verge of destruction. You can't blame anybody but the voters of the city of Fall River, because they will not get people in office that are going to stand up for them. And the council, like I said, how many times have we seen the mayor do things that are absolutely illegal, and the council just lets it go? They'll complain, they'll bitch, they'll moan. No accountability.
Right.
But then again, he's got no accountability. Can he hit cars and drive away?
Hey.
Yeah. If I hit a car and drive away, they're going to grab me for leaving the scene of an accident.
Right.
They're not going to say,
he gets a phone call from the police department and he writes a check. Go away.
Right.
Isn't that basically what happened?
Basically. Yeah, well, we got a warning call and said, hold off on this and let me make a deal. I'll pay them off.
Right. And that's exactly what he did. Okay? Which shows the corruption not only is in the 6th floor, it goes to the police department. And it's a shame that that's happening. We have to look at the reality of the matter.
And it gets down to that one simple thing again. They have an obligation, a fiduciary and an ethical obligation, to hold the people accountable, the politicians accountable to do their job. The legislative body that appropriates the money has a legal and ethical obligation to look at those numbers and ensure they're being spent in the best interest of the city of Fall River. They know they're not, and they won't do a damn thing about it. The mayor has a fiduciary responsibility to spend our money, not $7 million. $7 million on lights and benches on Duval Street.
For his friends.
And also paving Duval Street. What was the tag that right away? Jumping the line and doing Duval Street when a friend of his bought property down there, right?
That's
so
right.
We all know that. And then, yet, we're going to try to con the people and say giving them $50,000 to try to bring in businesses is going to fix downtown. I mean, talk about inappropriate affect. And if you don't know what that is, grab a psychology book or Google inappropriate affect. So, I mean, these people are, but it's about accountability. We get to that. That's the word of the day. The accountability. They don't hold them accountable.
Speaking of accountability, what would you say about a lawyer who misinforms, misdirects, provides inappropriate information, provides wrong information to a legislative body?
And, well, fundamentally, you said he lied.
I didn't say that.
That you provided erroneous information when you're
Provided
duty
erroneous
bound,
information.
but you're duty bound to give them the correct information. That's in a
right.
canon of ethics.
But Matt Thomas did not. And it took Sean Kadeen and Linda Pereira to call him out on it. They didn't call him a liar. They just said, look, we're checking up on you. We called Easy Disposal. They never said they weren't going to pick up our trash. Never. But Matt Thomas said to the city council, we had to sign this contract because if we didn't, they wouldn't pick up the trash. This is a lie dictated by the mayor.
Well, again, holding accountable. The city council, after that discussion, should have demanded that he be terminated from his employment
And filed a complaint with the Bar Association.
and file a complaint with the Board of Bar Overseers. That's right.
right.
Because he has an ethical obligation to provide accurate information. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I know one thing. I know that the law stipulates very clearly they have a fiduciary obligation to get correct numbers, and he, as a lawyer, is duty bound, knowing he's going in front of the legislative body who statutorily has to oversee our expenditures, giving them accurate information. And if he doesn't know let alone, that's not inaccurate information. That's a total misrepresentation of fact, which in regular parlance is called a lie. That's what it's called. It's called a lie. When you go up there and say, and listen, I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of this crap in this city. Remember, every time they go there, if we don't pay this, regardless of how exorbitant it is, no matter how much this sticks it up the taxpayers' booty, you got to pay it because we're going to lose. We're going to get sued. We're going to lose. We're not going to get this. We're not going to get that. Oh, Kenny Pacheco. Oh, it doesn't matter. I didn't go off a bid. It had to be done anyway. So I'll just pay him any goddamn thing I want. Anything I want, and you just shut up and just give the bill to the taxpayers. I mean, this is insane. This city's become a nightmare. Look, at my dog's getting pissed off. See, Abby, that's right. You tell him. Tell him, Abby.
Do you need a value, Abby?
That's right, Abby. I'm going to write you in as a school committee candidate.
That's right.
But no, this is crazy. You got city officials who have a legal obligation saying that I don't care. I don't care if I was supposed to go out to bid. And what happened to him? He got a pay raise. And then Tommy Curry went on a 20-minute tirade, putting him up for the Nobel Peace Prize, the Nobel Prize for Economics, and sainthood. He's the greatest guy ever lived. Why do you people go? You said some bad things about him. Yeah, it's my tax dollar. It's my tax dollars. It's everybody's tax dollars. It's your rents that go up. This city is look. I've been around a long time, and so have you. I've seen a lot of mayors. I've seen a lot of bull go on in this city. I have never seen the lack of accountability and the pure corruption that I've seen with this administration. And I
Exactly.
mean, he's so blatantly arrogant now that he doesn't care. He just says, screw you all, just like Kenny Pacheco did. I'm not telling you anything about the windows. I'm not gonna apologize. I'm gonna just go out for bid, and you don't like it. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. You're gonna give me a pay raise. And
Hey, we
this
got
is
some
what we got.
comments. We got some comments from YouTube. No Jab FJB says, "Runaway Rumsey, laughing my ass off."
Yeah,
Matt Thomas has been around too long. He's probably working on many side deals. Why not?
absolutely.
Seth Akins did.
Subcommittee meeting on Monday. Well, you have a legal right to that. I'd file a complaint with the state.
I
You're
would
you're
too.
elected. You're elected. You're an elected official, and I will give you the case law that says you are mandated to look at those numbers. You are mandated to cast, as I said, a quote, a critical eye, and look well beyond the peripheral numbers that they give you. And for them to refuse that is malfeasance on the part of your committee and your mayor and your i.e. ex officio chairman.
That's right.
The case law, I got case law up the wazoo about that, but you got to hold on, you got to file complaints. And then if the state wants to cover it up, well, you go to you go call up the Trump administration. They like to come down to blue states, and maybe we've got a federal offense here. There might be collusion. We might even have a RICO violation. What's going on? I mean, these people
I
don't
say we
care.
got conspiracy going on.
Yeah, that's it. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have information. I would never vote. I would object. I'd say I will not cast a ballot. I'm abstaining from this ballot because I do not have sufficient information. And I want that to go into the record. I want it to go into the minutes, and I want the attorney for the school committee to make note that I am filing an objection. I'm going to contact everybody I have to contact and file every complaint I need to, because I am not going to spend money that I cannot reconcile the numbers for.
But
And
wait
if
a
you don't
minute.
like
It was an emergency.
and tell
We had to
Bruce,
spend the money
if you
anyway.
don't like it, pick a finger.
Yeah.
It's like, so I mean, this is crazy. I mean, this city's out of control. This is like a mafia organization. It's not a city. This is like, it's like we got like Whitey Bulger Jr. running the city. I mean, this is crazy. He spends money like a drunken sailor. Never any accountability. Nobody asks. Yeah, only in Fall River. You're right. Well, that was an illegal. It was illegal for them to do that. You're trying to execute your fiduciary duty. That's why you should file a complaint on
And
it.
file an ethics violation too.
And an ethics violation, because I'm going to tell you that is malfeasance. That is malfeasance on the part of a public official, without a doubt. That's malfeasance. He is actually obstructing you're obstructing your ability to do your job.
And Colin, he uses that excuse for everything. People have to be paid, especially my friends. Especially my friends.
Well, people can be paid retroactively until oh boy. Like I said, I'm looking at stuff. Remember what Coogan said when he ran for his third term. I want to keep elevating ourselves. That means elevating his friends. And, not to. Even in your city official, you have more. But like I said, this is the opinion I let. The people have a right of access to information concerning the conduct of the people's business, and obviously, elected officials Now this is from the Cornell Law School, so it's not a crappy law school. We know that. This is Cornell Law School, Legal Information Institute. The duty of care requires that directors, which are you, elected officials, inform themselves, quote, prior to making a business decision of all material reasonably, listen to this from Colin, reasonably available to them. He's got the numbers. They are reasonably available. This is Smith versus Van Gorken, 488A to 858, 1985. Whether the directors were informed of all material information depends on the quality of the information, the advice available, and whether the directors had, quote, I'm quoting, sufficient opportunity to acquire knowledge concerning the problem before them. The problem before you is you are spending the taxpayers' money. This case, again, Smith versus Van Gorken. I mean, I can go on forever, you know. This city, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. They don't care. I mean, it's saying right here, you have not only a statutory right because you were elected as the fiduciary, because you're the people who spend the money and approve the money. You are the city council of the school department. But it tells you right here, you have to cast a critical eye. You've got to look beyond the surface numbers. And as I just read, you have to have sufficient opportunity to acquire knowledge. And then, there it gets. Moreover, a director may not simply accept the information presented. And that's exactly what he's asking you to do. Remember that. That's exactly what they're asking you to do. Moreover, a director may not simply accept the information presented. Rather, the director must assess the information with, quote, a critical eye, unquote, so as to protect the interests of the stockholders, which are the taxpayers. This case, they're violating every single tenet of their duties. This is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. This guy doesn't give a damn, and you know why? Because nothing ever happens to him. Nothing ever happens to him. City council doesn't hold his feet to the fire. School committee is not going to file a complaint yet. You know, I hope you do, because this is crazy. I mean, we've got a it's not even a constitutional or a, you know, we've got an absolute dictatorship in this city. I mean, he's a dictator. He doesn't have to abide by the charter except when he wants to. He doesn't have to abide by the law, his constitutionally sworn oath to be answerable to the people. I mean, this guy is like a walking violation.
Is that why they're goose-stepping down North Main Street?
Yeah. He's worse than an autocrat. He's mein Führer. So all he needs is a little, get him a little like paste on mustache, Colin, for the next meeting. Let him paste on it, and but.
No, autocrat coffee syrup is better than him.
Hey, who knows? He might have stocks in it now with all the money he's made as mayor.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, it drives me nuts. I mean, nobody does their job. They yammer a lot about this thing, but nobody knows about the law. This is why the problem is, you know, I keep telling you, the old adage is you can't fight City Hall. And you know something? That is half correct. It does. But what's the reason you can't fight City Hall? Is it they know more than you? That they're right and you're wrong? No. It's because you do not have the financial resources to keep it in court forever, and they do because it's not their money. Just like it's not their money they're spending. It's our money they're spending.
That's right.
And you are a fiduciary for that money. And you have to take that obligation because someday, like I said, everybody. I know I light a candle every once in a while, hoping I hit the mega bucks or the Powerball, so I can, and I will sue their living ass off. I guarantee you. I swear that on an oath. I will hire an army of lawyers to sue this city. I will tie Coog. If I ever won, I would tie Coogan up for the rest of his life. He'd be like Hunter Biden when I got done with him, because this is outrageous. I've never seen this city in such chaos. Nobody knows anything. It's like North Korea. It's like living in North Korea. Nobody knows anything. And remember what he ran on. Remember what he ran on. They hate me because I keep all this shit, you know. I remember what he ran on.
Transparency.
That's
This
right.
will not be a Jazel career administration.
Let me see. This is the first page. Let's look at this. Can you read that?
It says draft.
Yeah. Which means plenty of room for improvement.
Alive.
Second page. Who was this letter written to?
The transition team from Mayor-elect Paul Coogan.
Of which I was, and this is what it says. Integrity and a well-run, well-organized city government are the Coogan's administration's highest priority. This is the foundation on which we can continue to build a clean, safe, and financially sound city. Lost. Second line. You ready? You called it, CJ. Transparency, accountability, and ethical standards will be the foundation of this administration. That's the first paragraph that he wrote. That was his campaign platform. And this was given out before he was sworn in for his first term. And I will give you a test. How many of those promises has he kept? A,
0.
or A, all, B, half, C, 1/4, or D, none of the above?
None of the above.
None of the above. Not my words, people. Not my words. I did not write this. I was given it, and I will keep it. Like I keep all crap like this, so I can prove how full of crap they are. Not one thing. He has shown no integrity, no transparency, no accountability, and he's one of the most unethical people I have ever seen. But that was going to be the foundation of his administration.
Hey, I know what happened.
Oh,
You got the wrong report.
oh, that's
You
right.
got the report that went to the other dimension.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's true. Yeah.
You got the report that went to the other dimension where people are ethical.
That's true. Maybe we're going to go to that. There's a website now with a bunch of Looney Tunes,
Yeah.
leftist Looney Tunes that say that in an alternate universe, Kamala Harris won the election, and that's the universe they're living
That's
in.
the universe let's go to.
Yeah.
Did he ever have a moral compass? No.
I have to Yeah, I don't think he ever did. I don't think he ever did.
Yeah, exactly.
Because remember one thing, Nelson. He was lying before he became mayor. He was practicing.
That's right. And we know that because he said 8 years. 8 years, you won't be paying a dime for this school. 8 years, it'll be paid in full. Right? 8
And
years.
the biggest lie.
Pay another tax dollar for this school.
and the other big lie that the MBTA was going to save the city,
Save
and
Fall
then all of
River.
a yeah, save Fall River. Then all of a sudden, you notice the way he retracted it. Even Mike Roderick. Remember when Mike Roderick said, "Oh, wait a minute, this is not going to cure every the problems."
That's right.
They did that to sell it like they sold the charter. The charter was supposed to be revised, not thrown in the barrel. And Mike Mioza, shame on him. Shame on him. That was they except for Dan Robillard, who stood his ground, filed a minority opinion. It was the only member of the Charter Commission to fight virtually everything in that charter and vote no on it. They drafted a document to enhance the power of politicians, not protect the people of Fall River. That charter is a piece of toilet paper.
Toilet paper softer.
That's right. Shaman. Use shaman. Don't use that. Yeah, unless you got a really well working sphincter. It might not work for long after wiping it with that. But this is the problem. And we got out, I'm generalizing, not we, because we vote. We always vote in a final elections. But the people of Fall River got themselves to blame for this. And what's happening here is, it was funny. I was watching the national news and they were talking about what's happening in New York with that socialist mental case. It's going to give everybody everything for free, but then tax the rich people. Well, now New York will be dead because what they did with New York was everybody that had the ability to move out of New York moved out of New York that was in the middle class. They left them with only poor and only rich. Now this guy wants to tax the rich and they're going to leave. So now the city's going to be like Detroit on steroids. But this is what happened to Fall River over the years. What's happened in Fall River was, and CJ will remember, because, he was around, he was running for office during that period. We had people that we had 50, 60, 70,000 people turning out. Why? Because they lived in Fall River. They had an interest in Fall River. Then they began to see politicians take over, and they all left. They moved to Somerset. They moved to Dighton. They moved to Dartmouth. They moved at Westport. They moved everywhere. And as Theodore Roosevelt said, the great Roman citizens stopped voting and let but we got rid of the people. And now, they kind of cut off their nose to spite their face, but they're probably happier. But how many firefighters, teachers, police officers, department heads moved out of the city of Fall River? Most of them don't live in the city of Fall River. So they don't have to pay the taxes. But they also can't get back at the mayor. That's why the mayor basically thumbed his nose at the school teachers, because he knows most of them don't live in the city. They can't vote against them. If they never left this city, Coogan wouldn't have got a second term. If we had the old voting demographic that had people who worked in the city and had an interest in his city, he would have been gone. He would have never got a second term.
True. The minute they raised taxes, you were gone.
That's right.
You were gone.
They were literally petrified to increase taxes in an election year. You couldn't get somebody on a school committee to vote for a tax increase in an election year if you held a gun to their head. And I think Will Flanagan tried that. No, I'm only kidding. but the fact is that you couldn't do it in the old days. Carlton Viveris was mayor for 12 years. He never ever would raise taxes, sometimes even in a non-election year. He tried to hold taxes down as much as they could. So did the council, because you had people, then, like when I got on a fire department, I'd say 95% of the firefighters worked in the city of Fall River. I don't think they're even close. They might not even be close to 50%.
Back then, civil service had a residency requirement, remember?
Yeah, but we also had a proviso that once you finish your probationary period, you can live within a 10-mile radius. But they still lived in Fall River. Same thing with the school teachers. All the school teachers I knew lived in Fall River.
Right.
All the police officers I knew lived in Fall River. All the guys that I worked with and worked with at fires and stuff from DCM, it used to be DPW in those days. All those guys lived in Fall River, and they voted. And if a mayor was giving them a hard time or raised their taxes too much, they would go to the polls and boot their asses out.
Or Chip Camaro would get a picket line up in front of Government Center more than once.
175 guys we had at that picket.
Yeah.
175 firefighters marching through the mayor's office. Oh, was he pissed? Well, I'll tell you what, it worked.
It did.
And of those 175 firefighters, about 170 of them all lived in the city and they voted, and their families voted. This is why. The vote is the greatest power we have, and we have to get the people now in this city who don't vote to get to the damn polls. But now we don't have much to vote for in this election. I mean, you got very, very few people running, but I don't care who's running. There's only one or two incumbents that are going to get my vote, and I'm not hiding that fact, and I'm not ashamed to say it. They have not earned my vote. This is a travesty.
One person currently on the city council, one person that's running to be on the council, are two people I've made a decision on. Okay? There's two people on the school committee, maybe three, but definitely two, and that's about it.
Well, maybe we can elect like Mickey Mouse or something, like if we write in enough Mickey Mouse.
Well, Bentley's thinking of running for city council president.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he has better parliamentarian.
Better skills, that's right.
Better skills than Joe Camara, who's in Portugal.
We make jokes, but it's a sad commentary.
That's true. He can't. $88 million. As Sirpati said, we'll always go down as the city council that pissed away $88 million.
And without a fight.
That's right.
And without a fight, we just let them.
They abdicated their right to control it. Exactly what the mayor wanted, and the mayor got what he wanted.
Yeah. Someday we have to sit down with some of these councilors and ask them, what was their thought process when the mayor said he was going to spend $7 million on lights and benches on Duval Street,
right? When
the state was going to give us lights and benches for free because we wanted the best lights and benches in the state of Massachusetts? Yeah, maybe that's a good idea, Paul. But how about as the mayor, you get the highest paid people, the people with the highest per capita income, with the highest household income, with the lowest tax rate. Maybe that should have been a priority before you pissed that money, $7 million on lights and benches that we were going to get for free. I'm surprised that I look at the city vehicles and I'm horrified because they all got brand new cars, not cheapies either. They got Dodge Chargers, they got big giant trucks, and trucks are not cheap today. I see that, and I remember when I was on a job and fire prevention was driving around in cars. The fire inspectors had 200,000 miles on it. The doors were falling off. The chief's car, when I was going to a fire, with a car with 140,000 miles on it. It was always in the shop. Not that that's a good thing. I'm not trying to say that. But people were worried about money in those days. People did, they wanted to keep money and they wanted to keep the tax rates down. Now it's a thing of the past. So I want to know how that council could sit there silently. Forget about the whole 88 million, but that 7 million sticks out to me because it was like putting lipstick, 7,000, maybe 700,000 coats of lipstick on a pig. because Colin and Nelson, both of whom watch the show all the time, they proved that whole scenario is a giant pig, the MBTA.
Right.
We know it's a disaster. It has, it's been a disaster forever, but they conned the people again. But to spend $7 million, and remember, he also jumped to Wall Street above a whole bunch of city streets that are still like Fallujah, so he could get his pal, his rich pal, a nice street running in front of his property. Not bad, not bad.
No, you're right, Nelson. Not one dime of ARPA money should have went towards that Wall Street project or any state project. Okay?
No, you're right.
And isn't it amazing?
Already being funded.
Isn't it amazing? Since we got the T, all of a sudden, the city bus is free, and they just extended it again to August 31st. We keep getting money for free buses because we got the T. They're saying other reasons. They're saying it's the millionaire tax.
Yeah, and there won't be a millionaire tax soon because there'll be no millionaires left.
There'll be no millionaires left.
Like that imbecile in New York that now everybody, all the millionaires and billionaires in New York saying we're bailing out. You think we're subsidizing? You're going to give away free everything.
He's a socialist.
Yeah, I know. He's a socialist. But
although they make it sound good, he's a socialist Democrat. He's a Marxist. God damn it.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders is a socialist independent Marxist.
Right.
Listen, number one, we have proven one thing beyond a shadow of a doubt. Socialism does not work.
No, it doesn't.
It has never worked in any country on the planet. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry to tell these socialists that, in theory, Karl Marx can write all he wants, and Engels, and they can all write about it. But the fact is, in theory, it sounds like it can work, but in practice, it never has. There are some socialist countries in the world, and they have terrible, no middle class. It's about sharing of everything. They don't share. They have more oligarchs, and I know Bernie loves that thing. Oligarchs. They take the money from the oligarchs. Well, nobody takes the money from the oligarchs in Russia, do they? The oligarchs give money to Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. That's what the oligarchs do, because they have rich and poor in Russia, fundamentally. That's it. No in between. Socialism is not about equity. He was talking about, I think we can do this on a national level because this is about equity. There's no equity in socialism.
No, there isn't.
I hate to tell you this. There's a whole bunch of quotes. If you want to dance, you got to pay the band, and a whole bunch of quotes like that, And the thing is that you can't get free shit. Everything can't be free, and nobody pays for anything because somebody's got to pay. There's no free lunches.
That's right.
There's no free lunches. You can't give people free everything unless they're illegal and you're a Democrat. Then you can give them that all the time. But this is what killed the country. This is why the country moved away from this. I mean, these people are nuts. And you see what's happening to this country. And in this city, I mean, they're wrecking it. And he's not even a socialist. I mean, I don't even know what he is. But I could venture a guess, but it wouldn't be for prime time. But it would be a long, very, very full of expletives sentence. But, you look at what the city's done with this guy for 6 years and how that council can sit in that chamber and not give him anything is beyond me. I mean, $88 million worth of money and not a day. I mean, I don't know. I know Nelson keeps good track of this. The rest of our viewers do. Give me some money that he spent from opera money that benefited the general public. Can somebody give me something? I can't find anything. Can you? I don't know. I'd be glad to know it. We could like build a monument to whatever, $1.80 he gave to somebody. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't he give $20 to a homeless person once?
Yeah, remember? To
But
clean up
that
the
wasn't out of
sidewalk.
the opera money, though.
No, that was to clean up the sidewalk.
Oh, you got to laugh to keep from crying, people. I mean, well, we got to start getting together. The weather's coming now. The thing is, that rumor about Gorman pulling papers. Did
Yeah.
you get any confirmation?
Nope, no confirmation. Cliff Ponte posted actually his father did, supposedly. It says Ponte Sr. posted a glowing endorsement about how he's a family man, he has the background and the ethics, and he would be the best next mayor. And I'm not disagreeing with them. But if he's going to get those papers, he better get them fast, because I know that Carlos Caesar got 301 certified signatures. And he was forewarned by Ryan Lyons. If anyone challenges those signatures, you won't have enough to stay on the ballot. Forewarned.
Well, I can tell you something. If he declares he's running for mayor and he announces a place where they're going to be, he will get 1,000 signatures in the first
hour.
half day.
Yeah, hour. No question about it.
People are, they're furious, and and it's crazy. And I don't know him well. I've met him. I actually know I don't really know his wife, but I do know his wife, and she campaigned against us and that thing. But her mother is the wife of a lieutenant that worked with me on the fire department for years. He was a very good friend of mine.
Well, what's interesting is he stopped me in CBS to talk about our show.
Yeah.
So obviously he's a man of taste. He watches our show.
I'd say that opinion's a little prejudiced, but that's okay. We'll accept it.
That's right. It's just slightly prejudiced. But he took a good 2 hours with me and explained everything going on in the police department. Every question I had that he could answer, he answered. He had nothing to hide. That's why I do not believe one bit of the lying piece of shit administration said about him. I don't believe one word.
And
I don't believe one word.
Well, CJ, I gotta kind of say, on this, that listen, I think we talked about this in one of the shows. It's very difficult to be a leader of anything. When you're an officer in the military and you're an officer in a police department or a fire department, you have to give people orders that they don't like. And sometimes people will hold that against you. That's why there's a separation between enlisted men and officers in the military. And my military background. Yep. So I'm very, very, I'm very aware of that. And the fact is, when I was a chief, I had to discipline people. I had to enforce the regulations of the department. I had to give orders that people may not like or like. So you're going to have people say, oh, blah, blah, blah. It comes with the territory, but you have to be a man of ethics to do that and say, look, I'm going to have to write up my best friend or a friend of mine because he's wrong. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't care who it is, whether it's Dupere, Gorban, or anybody. I have nothing but respect for somebody who can do that job and actually be on the street. Those guys actually worked that job. And like I've always said, I fought fires for 38 years in this city because I'm not afraid of danger. I jumped out of an airplane 128 times. So I'm not afraid of danger, but I don't have the temperament to do what those guys do. I respect the hell out of what the crap those guys have to take And somebody who can do that job as long as he did, and in supervisory positions, with all the politics involved and everything else, I don't care. At least he's paid his dues. He showed me that whether you like or dislike some of his opinions, he put his ass on a line. I can tell you one thing about Paul Coogan, walking around the halls of Durfee with his hands in his pocket and then pulling them out every once in a while to high five some kid. He never paid a due in his life. He never paid any dues. He never took a test for his job. I took a test for every promotion I got. He took a test for every promotion he got. All of these guys took tests. I respect the fact that they paid their dues. They took a test. They earned what they had. Coogan's he's either kissed political ass for everything he's got, and now he's doing what his puppeteers want him to do. The man has no integrity, no ethics, and no moral compass. So I'll tell you what, if he runs, let me know where we're going to have the sign in. I'll be down there to sign.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you now, just doesn't get any better.
But to say how I am about democracy, and I believe in everybody's right to run, that's why we opposed all these signatures you need. I would even sign Paul Coogan's nomination papers. Not that he needs it, but I never vote for him. And I told him when I'm signing, I'm not going to vote for you. But if you want to run and you're eligible to run, I will still allow, I'll sign your papers.
Right.
Just because I sign your papers it doesn't mean I'm going to vote for you.
Exactly. And it just gets to me with this city because people think he's a nice guy. When my kid was in school, he used to give him a high five every day. Yeah, well, ask the 10 kids that didn't get the high five. They got the, get out of here. Get out of my school. You're not going to graduate anyways. You're useless. Okay? How about those kids? How about those kids that graduated in spite of him? In spite of him. Okay? How many kids got a diploma, walked by him, and said, I graduated, F you? Because he would have gotten what he deserved. Right?
Yeah,
am I wrong?
True. But like I said, let's look at the record. This guy's, I have never seen a man that's so impotent. He's done nothing for the people of Fall
River.
He
negotiates with his brothers, plural.
Brothers.
Okay? Brothers, plural, for contracts, which is an ethical violation.
And illegal.
And it's illegal. Okay? And nobody does anything. The union just said, get the president out of here. We got to go negotiate this contract. The president, nope, you can't, nope, we don't want you. We're going to get another president instead. Drove the poor president out. The president was representing the membership. But the membership thought they were going to get a better deal sucking up to Paul. That's not how it works, people. It's not how it works. That's how it works in the Coogan administration. Yeah, we've heard the same thing, Nelson. Okay? But he knows not to bring it up. He knows not to bring it up during an election year. He knows better.
I can guarantee you, if he gets reelected, you're going to see pay as you throw. You're going to see the fee that costs Sutter his job. You're going to see everything, because if he gets another one, he knows that the city, when he leaves, is going to be in receivership, and he don't care. He's going to be out of this city, and we're going to suffer the consequences of allowing this the most incompetent, in my opinion. I have to couch that with the fact that this is my opinion. The most incompetent, inept, inane Look up inane. It's a good word. Mayor we've ever had in the city of Fall River. I've never seen anything like this 6 years of basically nothing, nothing but spending money and screwing the taxpayers. I've never seen anything like this. 3 consecutive terms. Yeah. Hope. Well, let's hope. Colin. Let's hope it's not necessary. Uh, that he doesn't get in again. Let's hope that we elect anybody but Coogan. Anybody. I don't care. If we could get Bozo the clown to run, I'm voting for Bozo.
Hey, Paul Fornia on YouTube says, Chief, please consider running.
To you know, I was asked that many years ago, and they said I'm not a political guy because obviously I say what I feel. If I don't like it, you're going to know it, and if I think you're wrong, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. And I said, I didn't have a future in politics. I wanted to fight for the guys who won't kiss the boss's ass. That's why I stayed with the union. But I'm going to tell you something. If it was, if it was a few years ago, I might have considered it. Who knows? Even if I might, if Methuselah can get elected mayor somewhere, maybe I'll do it too. I don't know, at some point in time. But
I think he may have been referring to Chief Garvin.
okay.
But no, we would love to have you as mayor. That's for
Well,
sure. Financial situations would be wrapped up in a heartbeat. Illegal contracts wrapped up in a heartbeat. MOUs out the window. Actual new contracts right away. That's what we need. That's what we need.
Yeah, because technically those MOUs are a circumvention of the law that prohibits contracts to run more than 3 years.
Right.
So I don't know, George. Maybe they're going to make them chartreuse this time. I don't know. Maybe they'll sell more. I don't know. But we will be getting something. Yeah.
People come with the chainsaw.
I might come with.
You'll bring Alan Hillier up here to do it.
I might come with 2, one for each hand.
There you go. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great day and a great weekend.